called Ignis. We're not going to talk to Drusilla or Ignis at the moment.
All right.
Welcome to the Smoldering Corpse. Ebb Kriegnes is here. Did you come to watch him burn? These red-hot pipes do nothing to alleviate the already warm air. Lots of people to talk to here. These sturdy pylons support the ramshackle roof. The first two people that we are here to talk to are this fellow right here named O, and this fellow here named Dak'kon. This guy here is my favorite character in the game, and in fact is my favorite companion character out of any game that I've ever played. Sturdy pylons support the ramshackle roof. Oh, if you watched my Torment Tides of Numenera playthrough, or if you watched anyone's playthrough, or if you played it yourself, you might remember there was a character named O in the Fifth Eye Tavern in Sega's Cliffs in Torment Tides of Numenera. It was indeed this same character. This guy, O, is the one character that carried over from this game to the new Torment. And, we're going to talk to him first. He's a pretty intriguing fellow, this O. Let's see about my zoom level. We're going to go with this level of zoom right here. I could go quite a bit further out. See, I could zoom all the way out to here, but look how tiny it makes the characters. I don't like the characters being that tiny. You can barely even see them. Or I could zoom all the way in like this, but then you don't get enough of a visible area, plus the characters start to look kind of bad when you're zoomed in that close. So I'm going to go with something like this. It's a little bit of a, maybe a little bit closer in. Alright. Let's talk to O. Quick save. You see a man standing stock still. He isn't moving a muscle. On closer examination, it appears that he isn't even breathing, just standing. His eye sockets are empty holes in his face. Contained within their bounds is a flat gray light that seems to dance with possibility. Looking into the sockets, the eerie, empty feeling of a limitless void shivers through you, as if you had gazed into a sliver of eternity. The head slowly swivels towards you. You notice that no muscles appear to move under his skin as he turns. And he speaks in a pure, bell-like tone. Well met, wanderer. You have forgotten again, haven't you? I don't have time for cryptic ramblings. I'm looking for Farod. Who are you? Know me, stranger? As he opens his mouth, you get that feeling of eternity again. Inside his mouth, you see no tongue, no teeth. It's almost as if this man were a shell surrounding an illimitable expanse. I have spoken with you before, and always you forget. Your endless quest to discover yourself ends always in your amnesia. You draw close to the truth and recoil. Let us hope that you have the strength to endure your existence. What do you know of me? How do you know this? I know that you, like a fly, rise up from the wreckage of your old shell, buzz about for a time, and curl up and die at the window of truth. You bumble about the pain, seeking the light without any plan to your actions, and fall exhausted when you fail. You alight on others to feed from them for a time, and move on with no regard to them. This kind of makes me feel like a dick, or sound like a dick. I have watched you come here and listen to your words, and watched you move away no wiser. Will you learn from your mistakes, Seeker? I love option 4, attack him. I don't think I'm going to do that. Who are you? I am O. For some reason, when he speaks his name, it sounds like he's speaking of much more than a single letter. As if the speaking of his name contained untold possibilities and nuances. No human tongue could ever create such a sound. What sort of a name is that? It is my name. It is the name of a portion of eternity. I am a letter in the divine alphabet. Understanding me leads to understanding existence. I am writ in the true names of half of everything. My being encompasses truth. I am mathematic, organic, metaphysic. Right. Answer some other questions for... Alright. I think you're entirely crazed. So, what does that mean? The divine alphabet is writ in the name of everything that exists. From the seed at the hearts of the elemental planes to the core of the great beyond. My brothers, sisters. A single word translates into the two in your mind. And I reach across all that is, was, or ever will be, ever shall be. We are thought, and reality, and concept, and the unimaginable. So they're kind of important is what I'm getting. Tell me about the great beyond. You would not understand. No mortal possibly could. It is beyond the powers of comprehension of all but the most powerful of powers, and once they understand, they move beyond the veil of mortal comprehension. I can explain it no more than that. Perhaps, sometime, you will understand. What is up, Saito? How you doing? Good to see ya. I'm playing some Torment Enhanced Edition. I'm currently speaking to a letter of the divine alphabet in humanoid form. So, what are you doing here? Why, I am watching the ebb and flow of mortality. What do you see? You mortals are like wasps. You build your lives' nests from the slimmest of branches, and when the wind shakes your home life free, you seek to sting the wind to death. Instead of realizing your foolish mistakes, attempting to repair the damage you have caused yourselves, and learning from your experience, you bring harm to any who have the misfortune to blunder near you in your time of pain and distress. My advice to you, and to all mortals, stop acting like an insect and start acting sentient. See, I agree with him here. I think this is pretty much what mortals are like. We're pretty bad. We're pretty bad. Trying to sting the wind to death. Thanks for the heads up that you were playing this. What do you mean, the heads up? You get notified when I go live on Twitch. You always seem to know when I'm doing it. You're here. I actually just started streaming this. I actually just started 9 minutes and 38 seconds ago. Although I did play a grip of this overnight. You said yesterday that you wouldn't be playing this for a while. Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking. But if you remember, I said, I don't know. I said I might change my mind. Well, apparently I did change my mind. Actually, it's Anonymous's fault. He talked me into it. Anonymous got me to start streaming it last night in the middle of the damn night at like 12:30 or 1 a.m. or something. So I streamed it for quite a few hours. Then I took a break for like 2 or 3 hours just now. And now I'm going again for a little while. But, you know, obviously it will all be available for viewing on the YouTube channel. I don't have to tell you that. The HD remake of Torment, an old but great game. Yes, Sven, indeed, indeed. Anonymous, yeah, it is. It's all anonymous. In this one instance, Saito, don't get used to this. Hashtag blame Anonymous. Not Saito's fault this one time. think about that. In the meantime, answer some more questions for me. What is it you wish to know? What was that you were saying about a divine alphabet? Okay, this is the same thing you said before. You should be able to answer some questions for me. I'm looking for a journal. I just find it hilarious that in the early part of the game, the Nameless One is so single-minded looking for this journal. Like, literally every person you meet, no matter how appropriate or inappropriate it would be to ask that person, every single person you meet, have you seen my journal? Like, anybody knows what your specific journal looks like. It's just funny. It just makes me think that, you know, when the Nameless One wakes up at the beginning of the game and he's got amnesia and he doesn't know what's going on, that his brain is kind of addled for a while. As he's just like, journal, journal. Have you seen my journal? Journal. When you quickly catch me up, at least. Sure, I can catch you up. So, we woke up on a slab in a mortuary. A very creepy looking mortuary which was staffed by zombies. This mortuary was the domain of a faction called the Dustmen, who believe in the true death. They believe that life is not real life, but only once you die from this life and go to the true death can you be born again into a new life or some shit. The point is, they want everyone to die. They're all about people dying. And they take contracts with people to use their corpses after they're dead. So, like, let's say you need some extra money, you can get paid some money now by the Dustmen if you sign a contract so that after you die, they can reanimate your corpse and use it as undead labor. So, they collect and deal with all the corpses of the bodies in the city. Some of which they turn into zombies, others of which they actually prepare and inter or burn in their crematorium. So we wake up in there, this floating skull is there with us. He's right there from the very beginning. As soon as we wake up, he's talking to us. He seems to know us, we don't remember anything. We've got total amnesia, we don't know where we are, how we got there. He finds some tattoos on our back that tell us basically what we need to do. Tattoos letting us know that that the instructions of what we need to do or whatever are in our journal, so we need to read our journal, and also to find this Farod guy, who we found out a tiny bit about. He's apparently a collector who collects corpses and sells them to the Dustmen. But we don't know where he is. Nobody so far we've talked to knows where he is. And we don't know where this journal is that's referenced in the tattoos on our back that apparently has the secrets of what we're all about and why we can't die. Because that's the thing. We kind of can't die. When we die, we wake back up in the mortuary again, alive. Our wounds, just heal themselves and so forth. And we don't know why. So that's a big mystery. So we spent 6 hours, or 6.5, just getting out of that mortuary, which is, approximately, it's supposed to take about 30 minutes for a normal person. So all we did was go around and talk to a shitload of zombies, and do some looting, and read a lot of descriptive text, and talk to a few Dustmen and the Dustmen scribe, and we found a guy that was spying on them that was in there that was disguised as a zombie, and he disguised us as a zombie, but then we didn't want to be disguised as a zombie because it meant we had to walk really slow instead of running, so we said no to that. Anyway, finally we escape from the mortuary, and after doing that and getting into the greater city of Sigil, I immediately headed straight to this bar, not talking to anybody along the way, came straight to this bar and came straight to this guy and started talking to him. So nothing has happened outside of the mortuary whatsoever. So basically, if a normal person was playing this game, Saito, you've only missed like the first 30 minutes. It was just the tutorial, in essence. The mortuary part is basically the tutorial of the game. If only this bar had a YSG. Yeah, no yellow shirt guy here. But yeah, this character O is the same character that was in the bar in Torment Tides of Numenera. The only actual character to carry over. What is it that you wish to know?
Looking for a journal. It's urgent. Know where I might find it.
I know where you can find it. What a dick move this is. But it is not my place to reveal such information. Rest assured you will find it, as well as the man you seek. Oh, it's just like, yep, I know where your journal is. Not gonna tell you. Alright, oh, you cheeky letter of the divine alphabet.
What do you know of that?
I know that your journey takes you far beyond your journal quest, to the very edges of existence. You will struggle for your life and your very spirit, and I do not tell you any more regarding this.
Tell me of something else. Have you seen or heard of Farod the Collector?
I know where he is. I can give you only one word. Nearby. You will find him in the hive under a veil of secrecy.
That's what all your answers seem to be under as well. Give me an answer to another question.
So this guy is not being very helpful. I wonder if we'll get anything useful out of O.
Tell me of the patrons of this tavern.
The patrons of this place are varied, yet all mortal. Like all mortals, their concerns are limited, with the potential of blossoming into actual truth. I can tell you this, though. You may find a companion dear to your heart here, at least as dear as your heart will allow. We also learn that all the people that have traveled with us, because this character, the Nameless One, has lived a very long life and has done a ton of shit, but we don't remember any of it. But apparently we've caused a lot of torment, and all the people that have been our companions and have journeyed with us in the past have come to meet terrible ends or have basically suffered greatly because of us. And everything we know so far is that the Nameless One has pulled some dick moves. At least in terms of how he's treated the people that cared about him. Well, I've started a new journal, Saito. I've started a new journal. And I've already written a ton of shit in it. But I don't have the journal that I need. The one that has the information about what's going on.
I think I should be insulted, but I'll let that slip. Answer another question, will you? Tell me about yourself.
I am O. Alright, we've already read this before. No human tongue could ever create such a sound.
What are you?
It is my name. Oh, we've already read this as well. He's mathematic, organic, metaphysic. Anyway, the guy's super crazy awesomeness is what he is. Can't wait to hear the first update of my journal. Yeah, we've heard it a few times. I love updated my journal. It's the best.
So what does that mean?
Divine Alphabet, yeah, we've read this before. So now, this is the one we didn't ask him before.
Then that means you know all the secrets of existence, doesn't it?
I know parts of many of them. Without a connection to my brothers' sisters, I am but a letter. Alone, I am a symbol. Combined, we are language and power.
So, you don't know the secrets of existence?
I did not say that. A letter is still a powerful force, even on its own. Allow me to show you. He opens his mouth wider, and wider still. The mask of his face tears around his eyes, mouth, and nose, revealing that hint of eternity you glimpsed earlier. You were lost in it, adrift in it, a part of it. You return to your mundane senses and realize that O has vanished. Yet somehow your horizons have expanded. Enlightenment has brushed you, however briefly, across the brow.
That was indescribable.
+1 wisdom permanently. Thank you, O. You didn't give us any legit information, but you gave me a +1 permanently to my wisdom, bringing it up to a 20, and I must thank you for that, my friend. I must thank you for that +1 wisdom. So that's why we went to O first. Get that extra wisdom. That means, because every point you have in wisdom gives you a bonus to all the XP you earn in the game. So having that 20 wisdom before doing anything else means that all the little XP awards that I get going forward will be higher because I have that extra wisdom. O is basically an editor of the Planescape wiki. Yeah. So this is Mort. He's our buddy. We don't know that much about him. I mean, at this point in the game, the Nameless One doesn't know much about him. He's a little bit dodgy. But he has been helpful thus far. This is his little biography, which of course we read. He says he's dead. But he calls us Chief, and he's been with us, apparently, for a long time. And the Nameless One himself doesn't remember who he is. First thing he remembers is crawling off a metal slab. Lost my memory, lost my possessions. Need to figure out who I am and how I got this way. Feel like something's missing, something inside, but I don't know what. Then we have our new journal. So we only have 2 quests right now. Find Farod and find your missing journal. We completed a couple in the mortuary, just the little, like, basically fetch quests for a couple people in there. But look how much stuff we've already written in our journal. This is just in the tutorial. We wrote that much shit in our journal. This is what the tattoos on his back said. Basically says, get the journal, it'll shed some light on what's going on. Farod can fill you in on the rest of the chant, if he's not in the dead book already. Don't lose the journal or we're fucked. Of course, we've already lost the journal. And don't tell anyone who you are or what happens to you, or they'll put you in the crematorium. Read the journal, find Farod. Now, obviously, the Nameless One has had this tattooed on his back for a reason. So that he could be reminded, because obviously the Nameless One knew that he was having amnesia that was getting worse with repeated deaths. And so he had this tattooed on his back so that he could remind himself of what the fuck was going on in his life, even after, you know, succumbing to the amnesia again. We wrote a lot of stuff about different things that we found out while we were going through the mortuary. And we met Dianara, who's actually quite an important character. Right before we left, she's a ghost. And she's a woman who apparently was in love, or is in love, with the Nameless One, and used to be with him in real life, but when she was alive. And now she's dead, we don't know why. We don't know what happened between them, but the hints that we've received is that he didn't treat her very good. But she still loves him, and she's bound to the world of the living out of her love for him. And she pretty much gave us a whole prophecy of everything that's going to happen. And, you know, I'm sure we will encounter Dianara again. She's also voiced by Jennifer Hale, so you know she's important. She had more voice acting. I think Dianara had more voice acting than the entirety of Torment Tides of Numenera, which is what I said at the time. There's the Nameless One. You are nameless. Our buddy Mort. Oh, we've got... Where did these come from? We've got updates in our... Well, this kind of spoils it for you. Before I've even talked to Anna, Dak'kon, or Ignis, they just popped up in my thing under player characters. Let's see. Oh, we have... Oh my god, look how many things popped up. This must be just because I ran past all these things on my way here. Wow, a lot of things popped up in my journal. I feel like I should not look at these things until they're relevant, until I'm actually going and talk to these things. That's what I feel. So, zombie male and female we've read. I like Small Thug. Small Thug is a separate listing in the Beast. Best part of a ghost romance is that you can constantly get to sing the spirit song. I was thinking that when we ran into it earlier. I was thinking, oh god, it's time for the spirit song. Midwife is apparently a type of beast. Huge thugs, not to be confused with small thugs. Giant skeletons we met these guys and we caused them to, we destroyed them by dispelling the magical wards that held them together. And in so doing, we gained pieces of their armor with magical sigils inscribed upon them that we can basically use as scrolls. These are the Dustmen. They've got some weird hair going on. And we met many Dustmen in the mortuary. We met Dahl. He's the chronicler, or the scribe of the mortuary, and he actually had quite a bit to say to us. And the rest of these things we're gonna... Oh, and then Dianara. There's Dianara. But all these other things must have popped up into my journal just because I walked past them on my way here. That's interesting. Well, let's not read any of the ones that we haven't actually encountered yet. We'll check them out after we, you know, officially encounter those characters. Those fat 90s graphics, though. Yeah! Those fat 90s graphics. Alright. The second character we're going to talk to is Dak'kon, who, as I've now said a few times, is my favorite character. And my favorite companion character out of any RPG I've played. And it is solely on the strength of this guy that my favorite D&D race is Githzerai. Let's see, we've got a bunch of junk. We can't identify the earring yet. We're carrying around a bunch of almost worthless... It's just like in Baldur's Gate here, Saito. I'm carrying around a bunch of stuff that's worth like 1 copper. Because you know what? Why not? Why not? Look at our AC, Saito. AC 10. How terrible is that? It's as terrible as it gets. That's how terrible.
Don't want to part with that.
I have a slot in my inventory, in my gear, for an eyeball. And I can't take my eyeball off.
Don't want to part with that.
He's got his teeth.
In case you didn't notice, Chief, those are my teeth. If I could part with it, I would. But it's unless you suddenly become a dentist, hands off.
I love what they say when you try to remove their stuff that can't be removed. I've got 3 slots for tattoos here, because you can get living tattoos throughout the game that give you buffs, which is pretty cool. And the tattoos that are available are actually based on the things you do in the game, so you can keep going back to the tattoo parlor over and over, and new tattoos will be there based on decisions you've made and stuff. Because you're actually tattooing your life experiences onto your body and getting bonuses for it. It's pretty cool. Hi, Dak'kon. I have your sword in Baldur's Gate 2. Want to know how Mort has fist proficiency? Well, it actually... Here you go. Mort's bite. Proficiency. Fists. Don't ask. They actually address that to a small degree here. He can masticate someone to death. Alright, here we go. We're gonna talk to Dak'kon. He's my boy. I'm going to save the game. Save number 6. Alright, Dak'kon. Let me take a drink of water. The man before you is old. I feel like this is how I would be described. If I was a character in an RPG, and they were writing my description, they would say, the man before you is old, in asterisks. His dry yellow skin has the scars of one who has traveled everywhere, and never rested long in any one place. His pinched face is inhumanly angular, and his ears sweep out from his skull, tapering to points. He wears a loose-fitting orange tunic, and a strange shimmering blade is strapped across his back. The blade looks to be a two-pronged glaive made of some metal, whose surface swirls like the film of oil on a pond.
Greetings.
The man turns to you, his eyes like polished coal. He stares through you, and for a moment you wonder if he might be blind. The weapon suddenly turns a dead, flat black, mirroring the man's eyes. I love the fact that his sword changes colors.
Are you alright?
Hail, traveler.
He says nothing for a moment, merely searches your face with his eyes. His voice is quiet and somber, like a wind whispering through the branches of a great tree.
Hail.
Your eyes have the weight of one who has traveled far to be in this place.
The man meets your gaze, his eyes burrowing into yours. His weapon drains of its black color, resuming its shimmering you noticed before you spoke to him.
You could say that.
The man's gaze does not waver from yours.
I am known as Dak'kon.
The emphasis he places on the word known strikes you as odd, yet familiar at the same time.
You are not known to me. I do not know myself. That is for the best. In knowing yourself, there would be little in the plains left worth knowing.
He falls silent for a moment, still studying you with his coal-black eyes.
I would know why you have come to this city. Looking for answers. I have many questions.
You thought Githyanki and Githzerai don't age much as they spend most of their time in the astral plane? Well, yeah, but he's still old even despite that, so that should show you how old he really is. And also, obviously, this particular guy doesn't spend as much time in the astral plane because here he is, not in the astral plane. So, I think... Didn't it say something like he looks like he's traveled a hell of a lot over all kinds of places? He's traveled everywhere. Now think of how long that would take. Everywhere is a lot of places. Everywhere is so many fucking places that just to travel to all of them would take a very, very long time, I think. I don't think it means literally everywhere because that would be ridiculous, but where is Sigil exactly then? It's in the plane of concordant opposition, which is the plane in the very center of all the outer planes. It's basically like the neutral zone between all the outer planes.
Speak your questions. I will hear you.
Right in with the journal. Let's ask him about the journal straight up.
I've lost a journal. Know where it might be. The location of such a thing is not known to me. I had some other questions. Speak your questions. I will hear you. Do you know of a man named Farad? I am told he knows something about me. That one is not known to me.
He really loves that word known.
I had some other questions. Can you tell me about the city? It is known by the name Sigil.
It's actually Sigil.
Sigil. Among the people, it is known as the city that does not know itself. Doesn't know itself? What do you mean? The city exists, but it does not know itself. In not knowing itself, its existence is flawed. Speak as if the city is alive. May not be aware and know itself in the sense that you or I might know ourselves, but it lives. It grows, changes, and touches the minds of all that live here.
So, The interesting thing, yeah, quasi-elementals and para-elementals. Well, they had to have elemental types for the areas where the two different elemental planes met. So you had the elemental plane of you know, fire and water or whatever, and if when those met, you had the elemental plane or the para-elemental plane or whatever of steam, because, you know, fire and water. Or like water and earth, you had mud, and so forth. You had the different ones so that you could have elementals and mephits and stuff of the different types of, for, you know, what about the in-between? Basically, it was just an excuse to have more monster types. You know what's cool? Elementals. You know what sucks? We can only have 4 of them. Hey, we could have a lot more if we do all the combinations.
Touches the minds of all that live here.
Water and negative energy makes salt for some reason. Well, negative energy makes you cry, and crying makes salt. Boom. I don't know. Don't ask me to explain that one.
Why did you say the city does not know itself? The city exists in opposition to itself. It has set itself apart from the planes, yet it seeks to be everywhere at once. Its walls are doors, yet it keeps these doors locked. Such an existence tells of a thing that does not know itself. In not knowing itself, it is flawed.
Now, here's what I like about Planescape Torment, among other things. Also, Saida, the reason you didn't miss very much gameplay is I spent an enormous amount of time during the 7 hours that I streamed earlier just sitting here talking about stuff. Talking about philosophical stuff, talking about the game and what I liked about it, talking about stuff, not even actually reading the text or playing the game. So, I wasted a ton of time doing that. But one of the another things I like about this is, I mean, I kind of like it. It's kind of nice in modern games how they tell you what stats or skills or influence your dialogue checks or how, if you can pass them or not. In this game, it doesn't do that. There are lots, and I mean lots, of dialogue options that get added to your conversations in this game based on your intelligence, wisdom, and charisma, and it doesn't tell you. Nothing on this screen tells me that I have certain dialogue options just because I have a high enough wisdom or whatever. They're just added into the conversation. So if you played this through with low wisdom, intelligence, and charisma, you would find that in tons and tons of conversations throughout the whole game, you'd have a lot less available to say, a lot less questions to ask, a lot fewer philosophical interjections to make, or counter-arguments, or persuasive things to say. They just wouldn't be there. So having those stats high is really important because they give you tons of extra dialogue options. Basically, when you play this game, you should jack up charisma, wisdom, and intelligence to the end. Yeah. You should max out wisdom because it's the most important stat in the game, and then intelligence should be your second, and then charisma, which is what I did. I started with an 18 wisdom, 16 intelligence, because you don't get a ton of points. Everything starts at 9, and you get like 21 points to divide between them. So I put maxed out wisdom, intelligence was 16, and charisma was 14, and everything else stayed at 9. But you also get a point every single time you level up. So you get to keep increasing them quite a bit through the game. Plus you get tattoos that give you bonuses. Plus there's things throughout the game that give you permanent bonuses, like what just happened with O, permanently raising my wisdom. Yeah, no rolling. So by the end of the game, you can have multiple 25s. 25 is the absolute cap. By the end of the game, you can have 25 int, wisdom, and charisma. Plus probably some con or something as well. Alright, so not knowing itself, it is flawed. Okay. I want to talk to him about some of this stuff. So this is interesting. Again, you'll see this a lot through the game. Truth, things that'll be prefaced by truth or lie or make vow or something like that, where you're signaling to the game what your character actually believes. Because your character starts at true neutral. And every decision you make in dialogue, even really minor things, adds to your law or chaos or good or evil. So your alignment actually gets created through the gameplay. And then there's things in the game that actually require certain alignments or are reacting to certain alignments. So when you do things like lie or say things that are cruel or whatever, you're altering your alignment. So a lot of times you'll see a line, exactly the same line. This isn't an example of that. These are not exactly the same line. But for example, in some conversations, you'll see exactly the same lie twice, and it'll say truth, blah, 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 lie, blah, blah, blah. Same words. But you're telling the game whether your character is lying when they say that or not, which is pretty cool. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what you have to do to stay true neutral. I've never tried to manipulate it that much. I mean, you could have a walkthrough that tells you numerically every single alignment's changed throughout the entire game, and you could sit there and use that as you played to you know, completely game your decisions. But I don't know that there would be any real benefit to doing that. All right.
Say this city is everywhere at once. What do you mean? The city itself is built from doors. These doors lead everywhere. Where are these doors? They are everywhere.
Dak'kon falls silent for a moment.
It is said that every bounded space within this city is a door that leads elsewhere. I don't understand. Imagine the door to the smoldering corpse bar. Remove the door. The frame remains. The space within the frame is still a door. I walked through that door to get in here. It's just an open space. Many are the doors you never see. You may pass through them as if air, and not know them for what they are. They are closed to your sight and touch. And these invisible doors are everywhere in Sigil. It is said, every bounded space in Sigil is a door. It is not known for certain. Doors move. Doors change. Doors disappear. All are locked. Locked? The doors remain as air until you have the key that opens them. When you have the key, the doors will make themselves known to you. How do you know what the key is? Every door has a different key. Some keys are known, others are not known. What are these keys? There are as many keys as there are doors. The keys are not always things of metal. The keys can be the clashing of two swords, a drop of blood drawn from the tongue of a dying man, the memory of a past love, or an angry curse hurled at the sky. When the key and door match, the door reveals itself. Sounds like finding all these keys and doors can be difficult. Such a task has been attempted but never finished. As the city changes, the doors change. Nothing known remains known for long.
Some doors can only be opened if you're strange. Others require you to set the night on fire. See what you did there. See what you did there.
Why did you say the city is flawed again?
So he says this again.
It's walls or doors?
I think we're gonna... Yeah, we've already been through that.
Speak as if the city is alive.
Alright, we've already been through that as well. Alright, now we have to make our actual argument. Now, I'm pretty sure if you don't have decent intelligence and or wisdom, you don't get either of these options. 3 and 4, they straight up just don't appear here if you don't have high enough stats. And that's how it is with a lot of, like, philosophical arguments and stuff in this game. You straight up have to have the wisdom or the intelligence. It's wisdom more often. Sometimes it's intelligence. Or else you basically don't get to argue at all. You get to ask your few questions and then the conversation is over. Whereas if you've got the higher stats, you can actually really get into it with people. Truth equals lawful and lies equals chaotic? Yes, I know. That seems to be pretty much how it goes, yes. And a lot of times even it'll let you, like, make a vow to something or not make a vow. So if you make a vow, that's even more lawful as long as you keep the vow. If you make a vow and then break it, that's like super chaotic. Whereas if you just say, you know, you could say, I swear to you, I will do this, and it says make vow. Or you could just say, yeah, I'll do it. And if you just say, yeah, I'll do it, it's not a big lawful thing. And even if you don't do it after that, it's not a big chaotic thing either. So basically, if you want to be lawful in this, you've got to make all the vows you can and make sure you fulfill them. And if you don't want to be lawful, don't just be running around making vows willy-nilly. Alright. Now, I've got two choices here for how I want to argue this, so let's take a look at them. What if the city is not flawed? The thing does not need to be ordered and have a purpose to know itself, but these contradictions are strengths that you cannot see. I like that. That's the chaotic answer, obviously. What if the city is not flawed, and you just do not know the reasons for its contradictions? There's order in everything. Perhaps there's an underlying pattern that you cannot perceive. So in both of these cases, you're arguing the same thing, city not flawed, but you can argue it for a completely different reason. The chaotic reason or the lawful reason. I happen to believe in the chaotic reason here, so we're going to go with that. I'm not really aiming for any specific alignment. I don't actually care what my alignment ends up, but based on the kinds of choices I think I'm going to be making, it'll probably be like chaotic good. It'll be chaotic good is what I'll end up falling into.
What if the city is not flawed? The thing does not need to be ordered and have a purpose to know itself. What if these contradictions are strengths that you cannot see? To your question, a question. What if the city is flawed and you see its contradictions all around you?
So now, here's an example of an escalating stat requirement. This happens a lot in the game, too. You need to have a certain amount of stat to be able to give the argumentative or the more interesting answer, and then it'll turn it around on you, and then you need to have an even higher stat to continue the conversation, and an even higher stat. So, like, if I had, let's say, for example, to make up something, I'm making this number completely up. Let's say I needed a 14 wisdom to say this. Now I got to here, if I didn't have, now maybe I need a 16 wisdom to say this, and if I didn't have that 16 wisdom, all I'd be able to say is like, oh yeah, I guess you're right, or I don't know, or something like that. It's like Ulysses in New Vegas. Well, you know, I don't know anything about New Vegas really, but I imagine that's a good thing.
To your question, a question. You claim this city's existence is flawed. You have accepted this rather than explore the possibility that something greater may exist. That suggests you are flawed, and that you do not search for knowledge, but only for a convenient answer.
So basically, Dak'kon just got fucking told right here. Just got told. Dak'kon falls silent.
There is no knowing the answer to the questions we have asked, yet the city exists. That is all. Yet I would maintain that we know ourselves by the questions we ask and the ones we do not. We cease asking questions and accept only what we can perceive.
And usually when you get into these philosophical conversations, you are rewarded with XP.
Then we will cease to know ourselves.
Dak'kon's voice has changed slightly, become heavier.
Such words have been spoken before. I have heard them, and know them. Where have you heard them? The words are mine. Once I knew them, and knew their meaning. I had forgotten them until you spoke.
Dak'kon's gaze travels through you, and his blade stops shimmering, bleeding of all color until it is translucent. There is a moment of silence, then Dak'kon looks up at you.
I would travel your path with you.
You're old. Of what use could you be to me? Ulysses' big quote is, "Who are you that you do not know your own history?" Nice.
I'll consider it. I had some other questions first. Speak your questions. I will hear you. Your features are unfamiliar to me. What are you? A Githzerai. A Githzerai? Githzerai is one of the people. One of the people. A Githzerai.
Thanks.
Yes, but what are the Githzerai exactly?
Dak'kon is silent for a moment, then speaks.
Our history does not need to be made known to you. We would bleed to death on Time's blade before I recited a fraction of the histories of our people.
This is one of the reasons I love Dak'kon, is he has all these interesting little turns of phrase that he uses. We would bleed to death on Time's blade. That's fucking awesome. In other words, it would take a long time.
Don't need to know your histories, but I would know of your people as they are now.
Dak'kon is silent for a moment.
Know this and accept it as an answer. We are the people who make our home upon the shifting plane of limbo.
With a deft motion, Dak'kon slips the blade from his back and holds it before him. Let's wait and see what happens.
There, we mold the matter of limbo with our minds. We forge cities with our thoughts.
As you watch, a series of rippling waves of metal begin to roll forth from the center of the blade. The pitch and crest of the waves match the inflections in Dak'kon's voice.
In its chaos we dwell, with only our knowing to preserve us. We are the Githzerai.
I pretty much was already starting to love the Githzerai at this point when I first played this. Like, these guys sound awesome. They're like some sort of psionic Zen monk dudes who live in a roiling realm of pure chaos and form it with their mind and through knowing. They're just like these super, like, scholar monk dudes. They're super cool.
What is that blade you have? It moved, shifted in response to your voice. It is a Karak blade. It is an object that lets others know the rank of the wielder. Rock, what does that mean?
Dak'kon falls silent for a moment, as if searching for the correct words.
In your tongue, the closest translation is chaos matter. The people may shape it with their thoughts. People. The Githzerai. Say the Githzerai can shape this Karak with their thoughts. Karak is not shaped by heat, but by knowing oneself. It is a mirror that reflects the will of the wielder on its surface and in its edge. When one knows themselves, the blade is strong, harder and stronger than steel. When one does not know themselves, the blade is as water, formless and weak.
So I love the idea that the strength of their weapons is based on their will and basically how enlightened they are and how self-attuned they are. It's really cool.
Willing to sell it? It would become as nothing in the hands of another. The blade knows my mind, and I know its heart. We die the same death.
This is pretty funny because for some reason they put Dak'kon's Earthblade as an item in Baldur's Gate, or Baldur's Gate 2, I think. Which is completely ridiculous because, as he just said right there, you could never take the blade away from him. No one else could ever use it. They die the same death. So honestly, that item is not canon in Baldur's Gate 2. It's pretty much just put in there as a reference, as an Easter egg type thing. But they didn't really give it much thought, I don't think, considering.
I had some other questions. Can you tell me of the Githzerai people again? It's made out of a strange metal. It's almost hypnotic the way it shifts back and forth.
Dak'kon falls silent for a moment, as if searching for the... Oh, wait, he's read this.
Shape it with their thoughts.
Alright, we've read this as well.
What rank does the blade signify? The blade is a symbol carried by the Zerth. A Zerth is one who knows the words of Zerthamon. In knowing the words of Zerthamon, they know themselves. Zerthamon. Zerthamon founded our race. He knew the Githzerai before they knew themselves. He defined the people. He gave them one mind.
Ooh, that crazy Zerthamon. He was like the Buddha of the Githzerai.
I had some other questions. You seem to place a special emphasis on knowing. What do you mean? All things, whether structure or flesh, their existence is defined by their knowing of themselves. And if a man does not know himself, when a mind does not know itself, it is flawed. When a mind is flawed, the man is flawed. When a man is flawed, that which he touches is flawed.
Dak'kon pauses.
It is said that what a flawed man sees, his hands make broken.
I can pretty much agree with this based on my real life experience. I am hella flawed, and my hands make broken all kinds of shit, both figuratively and literally.
Do you know yourself?
Dak'kon falls silent. His coal black eyes take on the same distance that you noticed when you first spoke.
I ask again, do you know yourself?
When Dak'kon speaks again, his voice is changed. His words echo like a great stone dropped into a chasm. He looks like he is forcing the words from his chest.
It is not my will that you know this.
Now, this is kind of a dick move, but I feel like it's necessary to push Dak'kon here because it opens up more information about who he is and the relationship between him and the Nameless One. So, I'm gonna go for it even though this isn't, like, super nice.
Perhaps I was being too kind, phrasing it as a question. Tell me.
The words come out of Dak'kon slowly, as if they are being carried one by one.
It has come to pass that I do not know myself. Why?
Dak'kon's voice drops to a whisper like sand.
I do not know why. I know it has happened, but I know not the how, nor the when, nor how to know myself once more. Never mind, I had some other questions.
Special emphasis on knowing. What is that blade you have? Okay, I think that's it for right now.
There's nothing to be said. Farewell.
As you turn to leave, the man speaks sharply. The first time you have heard his tone change since the conversation began.
Hold!
The man's voice levels out.
The city is not known to you. I would travel your path with you. I accept. An extra blade would be welcome.
Your path is mine.
Strangely enough, his voice seems distant, and it echoes as if he was speaking from across a great distance. I wish I could do a voice like Dak'kon's voice actually sounds, but I don't know how. I can't do the Dak'kon voice. I'm doing something I'm trying to be the closest equivalent in my head, but I know it sounds really different from how Dak'kon's voice actually sounds. Mitch Pileggi is the actor who did Dak'kon's voice, and he's probably best known from the X-Files. He played Skinner on the X-Files. You're welcome back, Saito. No, this isn't the Elder Ramoa voice. Look, I'll show you the difference. The voice I've been using for this guy.
This city is not known to you. I would travel your path with you.
The Elder Ramoa voice would be like, "This city is not known to you. I would travel your path with you." See, those are quite a bit different. It's Elder Ramoa. Oh, I see. I see where you're going with that. Okay.
Very well, let's go.
Experience 1,000. He's got more hit points than us.
Endure. In enduring, grow strong.
I don't know how to do Dak'kon's voice. I can't make my voice sound like that for some reason.
I hear your words.
I hear your words.
I will hear you.
I will hear you.
Balance in all things.
I think I've pitched it higher than Dak'kon's actual voices because I'm trying to make it sound more differentiated from my nameless one voice.
It is I. Endure. In endure, I hear your words. I will hear you. Balance in all things. Your reasons for your incessant clicking are not known to me. The flesh knows that it suffers, even when the mind does not. On the blasted plains, Zerthamon told Gith that there cannot be two skies. In the wake of his words came war.
That's basically the founding of the Githzerai and Githyanki right there.
Zerths are those that know the words of Zerthamon. Endure. In enduring, grow strong.
Endure. In enduring, grow strong.
I don't sound like him. I know I don't, but I wish I did. You're saying something about the Zerth Blade? Yeah, let's see if I can ask him about it again, because it's actually hilarious what he says in light of the fact that you can get his Zerth Blade in Baldur's Gate 2.
What is your will?
Dak'kon turns to you. His eye is like polished coal. His blade mirrors his eyes for a moment as you address him. Then he nods. Actually, I do need to end this episode because I'm 3 minutes over an hour here. So, if you're watching the stream, don't go anywhere because I am not done playing. I am going to keep on going. We actually had somebody in here, Saito, from Beamdog when I was streaming earlier. A QA guy from Beamdog came in for just a brief bit. Anyway, I'm not done playing. Stick around. If you're watching on YouTube, this episode is now over. So thank you for watching. This has been Josiah Plays Torment. Tides. Oh shit, that's not what I'm playing. This has been Josiah Plays Planescape Torment Enhanced Edition. Well, I fucked that up.